You're listening to the Patenting for Inventors podcast with registered patent attorney, Dr. Adam Diamond, founder of Diamond Patent Law, the #1 source for securing your intellectual property needs. Now, here's your host, Adam Diamond.
Hello and welcome to the Patenting for Inventors podcast, episode 31, How to Submit Your Patent Application to the Patent Office. My name is Dr. Adam Diamond, a registered patent attorney and founder and owner of Diamond Patent Law in Los Angeles, California. I can be contacted through my website at diamondpatentlaw.com. That's DIAMENT, patentlaw.com, or if that's too hard to remember, you can get to it through patentingforinventors.com. That's patentingforinventors.com, or you can call me at 424-281-0162. We're finally at the episode where you learn how to actually submit your patent application to the Patent Office. In the podcast series, I've talked about what intellectual property is, why you might want to file a patent application, all the parts of the patent application, and all the forms that you're likely to fill out before submitting your application to the Patent Office. So today is the day you're going to submit your application. I'm only going to talk about electronic submission because you really should submit electronically, even though technically you can mail your application to the Patent Office as well. It costs more money if you do that, and I think more mishaps are likely to happen, so you should really file electronically. There are two ways you can file things with the Patent Office. You can be a registered eFiler or an unregistered eFiler. Being a registered eFiler has some advantages, but it also requires setting yourself up as a registered eFiler. And if you're just going to be doing one application, it might not be worth the hassle of registering. If you register, you get a customer number and a digital certificate, so you can have secure access to the application documents during and after the filing of your application. If you're registered, you can save an in-progress submission, so you can start to submit some of your application, save it, and then come back to it on the USPTO website. You can't do that if you're not registered. You have to submit everything in a single login session. It does take a few weeks to get registered. I would recommend registering and waiting a few weeks to go through the process of getting your customer number. But if you can't wait, you can file your application, register later, and then link up the application you filed with your customer number. To register, just do a Google search for Registered eFiler USPTO, and one of the first links that comes up should be a link for how to register. First, you'll get a customer number, and then you'll apply for a digital certificate, and you'll have to get a form called a Certificate Action Form notarized. It just has your name, address, phone number, and then you'll request a new PKI certificate. After it's submitted, you'll get some authorization codes and reference numbers. If you're not registered, you can't add documents to your filing electronically. This probably isn't a big deal if you're just filing a provisional patent application, because you usually just submit it and you're pretty much done with the Patent Office if you did everything correctly. But if you're filing a non-provisional patent application, there are probably going to be lots of times you'll want to file something online, such as responding to a rejection. If you're not registered, you won't be able to respond to things online, and you'll have to do things by regular mail or fax, or bring it in person to the Patent Office in Virginia, which can be a pain, and there are all kinds of rules on what can be faxed and how it has to be mailed if you want a specific filing date. So follow the steps for registration as soon as you think you might be interested in filing a patent application. It doesn't cost anything. I'm going to go over everything you need to do if you're a registered eFiler. If you do a search for a USPTO file online, you'll get a link to the Patent Office website, and you'll see another link for EFS Web, and then you click that. You can choose either Launch EFS Web Registered or EFS Web Unregistered. Pick the one that you're going to do, but I'm going to go over the registered option. You'll get to a screen where you can authenticate with Java Web Start. Currently, you can click either New Method or Old Method. I click New Method, and I know Java can be an issue with lots of browsers, so hopefully it will just work. But try a couple browsers or a different computer if you have access to more than one computer. It's going to ask you to download a small file. That's a USPTO authentication. Save it, and remember where you saved it on your computer. Click to open it, and you're going to get a pop-up window from the USPTO. There are two places to enter in information. One is Select Digital Certificate, and you'll want to browse and find the digital certificate that you got from the Patent Office when you registered to become a registered eFiler. Below that, you enter your password, which you set up when you got your certificate. There's a checkbox that you have to check saying that you have the right to access technology from the Patent Office. Then click the Authenticate button. It can take up to 30 seconds to load up, and after that in your browser, you'll get to a new screen. On this new screen, the first button is about the digital certificate. You can check the box that says that you are the certificate holder if you're the one that got the certificate. Then under Main Functions, click the box that says New Application /Proceeding. There will be more options that pop up after that. If you're filing a utility application, click Utility. If you're filing a design application, click Design. I'm not going to go over PCT or international designs or supplemental examinations. If you're filing a provisional application, click Utility also. There's 7 options, but most likely you'll either choose non-provisional application or provisional application. In the last episode, I talked about speeding up the processing of your application with the Track 1 or accelerated examination. So if you understand what those are, and that's what you want to do, you'll want to click one of those 2. I'm going to assume that you're going to do a non-provisional application, so click that button. I'll cover the other applications in later episodes, and then scroll down and click Continue. The next screen, you're going to click either Application Data or Web-Based ADS. I went over the ADS in the episode called How to Fill Out the Application Datasheet. I like to do a separate application datasheet as a PDF and submit it instead of doing it entirely on the web. So I click the top one called Application Data. Make sure that you listen to the previous episode about application datasheets so you know what goes in there. If you click Web-Based, then you have to fill all that information when you're doing the filing. Below that application datasheet selection, you type in the title of your invention. Below that is an attorney docket number. You don't need to enter that in unless you want to give your application a number because you're going to be keeping track of a lot of different applications. Below that is the inventor's name. Fill in the first, middle, and last name of the inventor. Below that is the correspondence address. If you have a customer number, you can just select your customer number because your customer number is linked to your address when you set it up. But you also have the option of entering a different address if you click on the correspondence address button. Then click Continue. On the next page is where you submit your documents to the Patent Office. It was only just recently that the Patent Office allowed you to submit files in docx format. It used to just be PDFs only. I still only do PDFs, and I recommend that because you have a file that is more permanent. Under the PDF selection, click the button that says Choose File, and you'll get a pop-up, and you choose which file you want to upload. The way that I do it is that I have one file that has the specification, the claims, and the abstract all together. I talked about those in previous episodes. What you should do when you make the PDF of the document is see how many pages the specification is, which is all the text except for the claims in the abstract. Maybe it's pages 1 through 15. Make a note of which pages the claims are, maybe 16 through 20, and make a note of which pages the abstract is. Maybe it's page 21. There's an option that says, does your PDF file contain multiple documents? And click the button that says yes. You'll get a drop-down menu, and first it says Category. In that drop-down menu, select Application Part. And to the right of that, it says Document Description. And you'll select Specification. And then to the right of that, you put in the start page and the end page. So in my example, you would put 1 for the start page and 15 for the end page. Then on the next line, where it says View All Categories, also select Application Part. Then in the document description, select Claims. Then for start page, put what page it starts on, such as page 16, and what page it ends on, such as page 20. You might need to click Add Document to add the third section, which is the abstract. Then select Application Part of the category, which is Abstract for the document description. And the page numbers for the start and end, such as 21 for start and also 21 for end. Below that, you can either click Add File to add other files, such as drawings. But even further down, there's something that says Upload and Validate. I like to click Upload and Validate for each document instead of adding all my files right away. If there are problems, I like to know right away. And if you click Upload and Validate, you'll get to a new screen, and hopefully for validation it says Pass and no errors. But if you do get errors, you might need to do it again and fix your PDF. There could be lots of reasons why it wasn't accepted, and to tell you the reason why, maybe it was a font issue or a page issue or something else. If you want to attach more files, which you will, click the Attach Files button. You'll get to the same screen you had before where you can choose a file. The other files I submit usually don't have multiple parts, so you'll click No for that. For your drawings, choose your drawing file. For the category, click Application Part. And for document description, you should choose Drawings, only black and white drawings. Click Upload and Validate. For the next file, choose your declaration. For the category, click Application Part. And for a description, select Oath or Declaration, then Upload and Validate. For the next part, remember to upload your application datasheet if you didn't do it directly on the web. Select Application Part for category and Application Datasheet for the description. For the next file, you're going to want to upload the Information Disclosure Statement. I talked about what that is and how to fill it out in a previous episode. Use the category Application Part and description IDS/references. And then for the document description, select Information Disclosure Statement. If you have foreign references that you cited, you have to upload those as well, and the document type is Foreign Reference. You may also need to submit translations of foreign documents. If you have in your information disclosure any non-patent literature like printouts of websites or journal articles, you'll have to submit those as non-patent literature. Those are really going to be the main things that you want to make sure you upload. In theory, as long as you upload your specification, that's what will get you a filing date, and you can file other things later. But there could be added fees, so it's best to do it all at once. If you have more than one inventor and there's a power of attorney you want to file, you can upload that, and the category is change requests, and the document description is power of attorney. If you're going to be filing as a microentity, which I talked about in a previous episode, choose that file, and for category, choose entity status correspondence. Choose whether the form you filled out for microentity is because your income or whether it's because you work for an institute of higher education. You don't need to submit any form if you're doing a small entity, just if you're doing a microentity. If you're a small entity, there's just a box on the application data sheet that you check, and that's it. There is a form called the Utility Patent Application Transmittal, and it's form AIA 15, which might be useful for you to look at and fill out, and it has checkboxes for everything you're submitting to the patent office. I generally don't fill it out, but you can. When you submit your application, you'll get an electronic receipt of the list of everything that you filed. But this might serve as added protection if you checked off some of the boxes saying that you submitted something, but the patent office says that they didn't receive it, and you could refer back to this form to see whether you checked the box saying that you submitted it. It's not foolproof that you submitted what you checked off, but at least you have something on file saying that to the best of your knowledge you had submitted it. These types of things were done more often when people filed by paper and the patent office would cross-check what you said was in your envelope with what you checked off on this form. When you're all done uploading your documents and everything is verified, click Continue. This is the fee page. Click either regular undiscounted, small entity, or microentity. Even though you might click smaller microentity, make sure you've uploaded the right forms for micro and check the box for small entity on your application datasheet. The fee amounts will change below depending on which entity status you click. Click the three boxes that say Filing, Search, and Exam. Below that, it asks you whether you originally filed this application on paper, and click No. Say how many pages your application is. If your application is under 100 pages, which includes all the text and figures, you don't need to put anything here. But if it's more than 100 pages, there are extra costs per page. So enter in the number of pages, and it will calculate how much more you owe. Next, it will ask you how many claims you have. In the claims episode, I talked about how many claims patents can have and how many independent and dependent claims. The basic fee includes up to 20 total claims and 3 independent claims. If you have more than either of those, write how many you have, but I recommend in general that you don't exceed these numbers because it's usually not necessary, but it does depend on the invention. There is a checkbox for multiple dependent claims. Don't click that. I didn't go into multiple dependent claims in this podcast. It's something that's more often done in foreign countries, and since I didn't explain how to do it in my claims episode, I'm not going to go into the details of what they are now. Just don't click that box unless you know what you're doing and that you actually have filed multiple dependent claims. Below that are some miscellaneous fees that hopefully won't apply to you. There are English translation fees, late fees if you're filing things late, but at this point we're just filing an initial application and you shouldn't have these types of fees. There are also petition fees, which you probably won't have unless you're doing a petition for accelerated examination or track 1 to expedite your application. If you are doing one of the expedited application programs, then you'll click on which one you're doing and the fee will be added. Then click Continue and you'll get to the final page and that will list the total cost. At the bottom, click Submit. Now when you click Submit, you'll have submitted your application, but you still have to pay. Technically, you don't have to pay right away, but there are added fees if you don't. And if you don't pay by the deadline, then it's as if you've never filed your application. So after this, you should click that you want to pay now, and you can enter in your credit card information to pay. There will be some links after that to save the e-filing receipt, and you can print it. Remember to save your e-filing receipt because it will have your new patent application filing number and the list of things that you submitted. It will also have a confirmation code on it that you'll need if you want to submit anything else to the patent office related to this application. So there are a few differences if you're not doing the regular non-provisional patent application submission as a registered e-filer. If you're going to do this unregistered, when you get to the first screen for filing, you put in your name, last name, and email address, and then click New Application. You'll have to do the correspondence address instead of a customer number if you're not doing a registered e-filer. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. If you're doing a provisional patent application, you technically don't need to do an application data sheet, and you can do a provisional cover sheet, which is much shorter. There's a document description option for a provisional cover sheet. And for provisionals, the way I do it is just make one file with everything in it, the text, the drawings, and if I wrote any claims, it will all be together. If you're doing a design application, it's pretty much the same thing. You still have a specification page, which is usually just 1 or 2 pages because it's just a description of the drawings. And you have drawings, and you have an application data sheet, information disclosure statement, declaration, and you submit it the same way. You just check the right boxes to calculate your fees. That's pretty much it on how to submit your patent application to the Patent Office. If you want help with drafting your patent application, you can contact me through my website at patentingforinventors.com. That's patentingforinventors.com, or call Diamond's Patent Law at 424-281-0162. I'm Adam Diamond, and until next time, keep on inventing.
Thanks for listening to the Patenting for Inventors podcast with host Adam Diamond. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review on iTunes. The contents of this podcast are intended for general informational purposes only. The facts of every legal matter are unique, and the content of this podcast should not be construed as offering legal advice for your specific legal situation. For more information and help with your own intellectual property needs, contact Adam Diamond at patentingforinventors.com. That's patentingforinventors.com. Or call Diamond Patent Law at 424-281-0162. The preceding information may be considered an attorney advertisement and does not establish any attorney-client relationship.